Happy Easter, April the 1st, 2018. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Community Issues. I'm your host, Omar Rashida. Joining me live at Least Access Studios, I have two distinguished guests. They are members of the Delaware Africa Caribbean Coalition. I have the Vice President, Mr. Thomas Grant, and I have the President, Dr. Alou. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the Delaware Africa Caribbean Coalition, why don't you give us a brief history of how it got started and what are some of the things that the organization does?
Yeah, Delaware African Caribbean Coalition is an organization of African community. As you know, we have a significant population of Africans that resides in the state of Delaware. Some of them are business owners, creating job opportunity for people, and some of them are doctors, nurses, as well as engineers, contributing to the economic growth of the state of Delaware. But unfortunately, we found out that people are not together, you know. So we found a way to bring people together to fight a common cause. That was the reason why we created DACC in December of 2016 to serve as platform for African businesses to be able to network among each other, to also serve as a means of liaising with the government, private individual, as well as a not-for-profit organization in sourcing for funding, as well as resources needed to promote African businesses. Then also serve as a platform to be able to liaise between the state of Delaware and the continent of Africa, as well as Caribbean continent. Shortly after the formation of DACC in December of 2016, we approached the government for a commission to be formed so as to be able to effectively communicate with the government in promoting the interests of Africa. After back and forth negotiation with the government, the commission was approved and passed into law in April of 2017. And since that time, we've been engaging ourselves in different activities, such as bringing a part of personnel, as well as a part of functionary from Africa. My vice president will talk more about the
You know, I was looking at your brochures, and you had some priorities there, and it's some awesome priorities. So I want you to talk to the viewing audience about what your priorities are in the organization.
Well, primarily what we want to do is that vision is to create that relationship, we call it, between our different countries of birth and our state of life. There are a great number of us who have been in the state here for over 20 plus years now, and we want to do that. We also want to educate our folks who come from both the Caribbean and African countries that live in the state of Delaware on how to go about navigating everything that in the state that can benefit the people of Delaware, along with the people of our different African and Caribbean countries. We want to uplift everyone that we can possibly can, and our doors are always open. We say, whosoever will, let him come. In so doing, as my president did say, that what we did do last year, we brought in the then vice president of the first independent African country in Africa, of Liberia, into the state of Delaware, and we connected him with the government officials in the state of Delaware.
Right. So someone's watching right now, and they want to join the organization. What is the criteria for joining the Delaware Africa Caribbean Coalition?
Well, primarily, we invite you to our meetings to come and see and listen to what we have what we have to present. You can give us a call at 302-290-5178. You can also go on our website, it's www.dacc.de.org, and you will get more information about the organization. And we are a non-for-profit and voluntary organization, okay. So we entertain all talents that one has. Okay. Said, whosoever will, let him come. And when you come, please do not bury your talent. Bring your talent forth so that others can benefit from that.
To be more specific, to be a member, you have to be of African descent and reside in the state of Delaware. Okay. So automatically you're going to be a member.
So in other words, when you look at the title of the organization, you don't necessarily have to be African or Caribbean, but you can be the different under the umbrella of different cultures.
Yeah, umbrella of different culture, but of African descent that reside specifically in the state of Delaware.
Now, I look at this and I see this organization as a very professional organization. Among the members that you have, what are some professions that they come? What are some of their backgrounds? And do you have like engineers? I mean, quite sure doctors. Do you have athletes? What does the organization consist of in terms of educational and employment backgrounds?
Of all walks of life. Like you see right here, our president of the organization is Dr. Alo. He's a medical doctor.
Right.
And at the same token, too, he also an educator. He has a school in Newark, a nursing school in Newark. So that is also helping in the medical field in the state of Delaware. If you're an accountant, you can also be a part. Even if you, for one like me, I started in my humble life of being someone who was selling simple thing as shoe polish. So you can even become you can even be a salesman and you be a part of the organization. Whether you have a GED or you have a master's degree or a PhD, your talent is still recognized in the organization.
So what we're doing essentially now is to bring out these professionals together so that they can network among each other and be able to form a very solid front and then be able to serve the interest of Africa in the state of Delaware.
You know, and then speaking as an African American, some of the things I've heard people say, I'm quite sure you might have heard some people say, is that, you know, the African Americans don't like Africans, or Africans don't like African Americans. And what this organization does, Mr. Grant, is that it brings African Americans and Africans together. Right?
Yes, that's what it does. And some of the things is, I don't like to use certain words. Some of the things is that because it's an assumption. But when people sit down and get to listen to each other, get to know that we all have the same common goal. Right. So we want to bridge that gap, and we want to take away that stigma that may be in there that is not actually real, not actually true.
Right, right. Now, you gentlemen have an upcoming program next month.
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
Well, by next month, we'll be welcoming the First Lady of Gambia. That will be between 26, 27, and 28.
Oh, wow.
We have various activities already lined up for her.
Okay.
And she'll be coming along with her entourage and also the Secretary of Agriculture, so as to discuss bilateral relationship between Gambia and the state of Delaware. And also, her own, she has a healthcare initiative that she wants to introduce, and we're looking at the way whereby we can assist by linking her up with the necessary healthcare facility in the state of Delaware. So we've been liaising with the government and with the different personnel that will help us in making that happen.
Okay, and so where's it going to be held? How can people contact you for tickets?
It's going to be held at the White Clay Country Club up in Wilmington, which is right next to the Delaware Park. Okay. And again, if you need tickets, you can call us at 302-290-5178 for tickets. We have a general admission, which is $100. We have the VIP, which is $200. And we'll also have sponsors, which is $500 and above, to enable us to reach our goal reference to the healthcare initiative for the First Lady of the Gambia.
Right. And Dr. Liu, you know, running an organization is not easy. You're running into different personalities. You're trying to grow the organization. So if you were to be president within the next 5 years, and I'm going to say 3 to 5 years, where would you like the organization to go?
Yeah, we have mission and we have goal that we want to achieve. The mission being that we want to position Africa in the state of Delaware. We want to promote the African businesses in the state of Delaware, and we also want to make sure that Africa is a potential continent to do a lot of businesses, which of course Americans are not aware of that yet. So we want to open the doorway for people to be able to transact a lot of business between Africa and the state of Delaware. Those are all the plans that we have been putting in place, and we're definitely going to achieve those things before in a couple of years to come.
Right. Now, both of you gentlemen are from the motherland. What part of the motherland are you from, and what brought you here in the United States?
Well, I'm from the country called Liberia, and most time when I introduce myself to folks, I always say I'm an African Liberian American a citizen, if I should add that there. Okay. But my country of birth is the country called Liberia, and Liberia is the first independent African country that was never colonialized. As a matter of fact, the very first president of the Republic of Liberia came from the state of Virginia.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Okay, Dr. Liu?
Yeah, I came from Nigeria, one of the most populous African countries.
Oh, okay.
It's like it's been a wonderful experience here in America. And again, we've been trying to see how we can also link Nigeria with the state of Delaware.
Okay, we have about a minute remaining. You want to have any closing comments about the, remind folks once again about the program next month?
Yes, also, if you look on the back of our brochure here, you see flags of different countries. These are countries that have already come into the DACC, Delaware Africa Caribbean Coalition, and the members are a part. So as we said, last year we brought in the Vice President from the Republic of Liberia. This year we are bringing in the First Lady from the Gambia. Your country, or your Caribbean country, your African country could be next in line that could be coming to the state of Delaware. The program that we're having in this month of April, since today is April the 1st, is that it's an initiative healthcare reception that we're having at the White Clay Center here in Wilmington, and it's only $100 for entry, and VIP is $200, and for those who want to be sponsors for the good work that we are doing within the community in the state of Delaware, it's only $500.
All right, on that note, we'll close out this segment. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Live right here on Lisa SS Channel 28, you're watching Community Issues. I'm going to take a short break, and I'll return. I'm going to be having Linwood Jackson. Stay tuned for more of Community Issues.
Of 7 communities in Newcastle County, Delaware, whose residents are mostly poor and predominantly people of color, at a much greater risk for cancer and respiratory illnesses than the affluent white towns. The single most impactful thing we can do is to take the lead on environmental justice initiatives in order to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and help combat global change. The Supreme Court ruled that the EPA is obligated to offer a replacement plan for regulating emissions in carbon dioxide. So I ask, why would the Environmental Protection Agency be against that and not to protect the environment, protect the people? Thank you.
Please join us as we deal with these issues. The educational achievement gap, police brutality, discrimination against LGBT community, mass incarceration, and worker discrimination, just to name a few.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Omar Rashid. Welcome to Community Issues. Now I have no stranger. This distinguished brother always wears suits. Everybody knows him, Mr. Linwood Jackson. Good morning. You're running for state rep in the 16th district. First, Mr. J.J. Johnson, he's been there for a good minute, and he decided to retire. And now you decided to throw your name in the ring. So what made you want to run for the 16th district of state rep?
Well, you know what, Omar, that's a good question, because honestly, if JJ wasn't retiring, I wouldn't be thinking about running. JJ's a good man. He did a lot of great work in our community for a lot of years. And I've worked with him over the years as well. But you're right, he did decide to retire, and I thought about it. My friends and family encouraged me to go for it. You know, I was the state president for the NAACP at the time, on my second term, and it was a big decision to step into the state representative role. I had to step down from the state president role, and that was a huge, one of the biggest decisions I ever had to make.
Right.
But my friends and family encouraged me, so here I am.
Now your platform. I know you look at different issues that plague your community. You got economics, you got public safety, you got unemployment. So to talk about the platform that you're running on.
What you just mentioned, plus education. Education
Okay.
will probably be the top of the platform. Without education, none of those other items would be harder to accomplish. So education right off the top. I want to try to get our incarcerated brothers and sisters need training for employment for when they get out.
Right.
They will have jobs waiting on them.
Right.
So that they won't have to re-enter the prison system. I think that's the problem. And so that's number one, and my item is education, and then criminal justice, economic development,
Right.
On and on. And with regards to economic development, is interesting. I think that I believe I want to work on, or I know I want to work on bringing the film and television industry into the Delaware Valley, into Delaware specifically, because as well as we have a lot of great performers here in our state, and they tried it years ago, but it didn't happen for some reason. I know Will Smith and his team wanted to come in,
Right.
but I believe it would help create a lot of jobs and put Delaware on the map for the economic turnaround.
Now, where's the 16th district in Newcastle? What are some of the areas the 16th district covers?
The Route 9 corridor starts right there at South Bridge as it goes over the bridge into Wilmington, the riverfront on this side, and right on around to the Port of Wilmington, right down the Route 9 corridor, Newcastle Avenue, just past the airport on the other side.
Right. You mentioned earlier that you were the statewide president of NAACP. How do you think being a statewide president of NAACP is going to help you going to running for political office?
Well, it was an awesome experience and opportunity to be able to serve the citizens of Delaware in that capacity as state president, and we were able to work on a lot of issues in that capacity. It got me to, for example, the clean water and the flooding issues up and down the state.
Right.
From Southbridge, with the flooding, where I'm from, by the way, I was raised in Southbridge, down to Lower Sussex, where they had the chicken pollution, the chicken plants polluting the soil down there. And if you had read recently that the court found them liable, and so now they're issuing the city residents in Lower Sussex water because their water is polluted there.
Right.
So state president got me up and down the state working on a lot of the issues that the concerns of the people,
Right.
and it was just an honor. I was they enabled me to go into Legislative Hall and work with the various senators and representatives on the different issues.
Right.
Over the years. So it was an awesome experience, and it moved me, it propelled me into this position to run for a state representative, actually.
Okay, and the two-part question, public safety is always an issue, well, particularly in the city of Wilmington, but also in the county as well. So what is your stance on public safety, and also the DART issue? And I know you've been in Rodney Square, you've been right there demonstrating and protesting for the bus thing going on in Rodney Square. So if you can give us an update of the DART thing as well.
All right, real quick on the DART issue, you're right. you know, that the governor and the mayor and people in Dart decided to remove 14 buses from the Rodney Square bus hub. 14 buses that primarily serve the urban community, and the suburban community is still being served with transportation to this historic square, Rodney Square. You know, it has 3 registry historic landmarks there, and it's just vital to the community. For over 25 years, the hub's been there, relatively crime-free, and violent crime-free, that is. And I think they had 1 murder years ago by a deranged individual. And but other than that, it's a lot of activities going on there. We're still protesting, silent protests. You can still call the governor and let them know where you stand on that issue. And by the way, they will be having a march, a rally, Monday.
Tomorrow.
What's that, April 2nd, I believe it is, at 10 o'clock on Rodney Square. So if you want to get involved with that, be there. We'll be there, still protesting that issue. They did return 2 buses, maybe 3 buses, back to Rodney Square, so it is working. Now, the criminal justice issues, we have a lot of issues there. I've been speaking out, as you know, against police brutality and excessive force, and it's going on all over the country. Police officers killing unarmed black men. It seemed like unarmed black men are the only ones getting shot and killed by law enforcement officers, and none of them, that as far as I'm aware of, have been ever prosecuted. And the reason why they're not prosecuted, Omar, is because there are laws on the books that says that if a law enforcement officer thinks that you're a threat, I'm gonna repeat that. A law enforcement officer, there's laws to protect them, to whereas if they think that you're a threat, then they can shoot to kill you, you see? And then they say, oh, I thought he threatened my life, you know, and so therefore I shot. And they all he had was a Coke can or a cell phone or something. And so when they get to court, they look at the books and they say, well, this officer thought he was a threat, so we can't prosecute him. So the answer, that's the issue. The answer is to change the law. And there are states and police departments throughout the country that have already changed their laws that made it more difficult they put systems in place, you know, the guidelines for the police officers to follow before they actually pull their gun out and shoot them, you see. Like they can tase them, or they're de-escalating. They don't have de-escalation training as well. So like in New York, I know they have changed their laws to where the police officers, their primary concern is to de-escalate the issue. And down, you know, bring it down, not up, and so therefore, and not to shoot right off the bat. So that's what we need to do here in Delaware, and that's one of the things I'm working on as well.
We have a couple minutes remaining. When you go down Dover, if you successfully win, you're going to be going down Dover. You're going to be working with other legislative individuals. How will Linwood Jackson go about working with other your cohorts down Dover?
Oh, the same way I've been working with them. You know, I worked with the names. I worked with State Representative Charles Potter, Senator Margaret Henry, State Representative Deborah Heffernan, Stephanie Bolden. The list goes on and on. Over the years, I've worked with these legislatures on the different bills that they were sponsoring. The cannabis bill, the tax and regulate, with Senator Margaret Henry and Representative Keeley. And we got medical marijuana here. We got decriminalized marijuana here. Now they're trying to tax and reg, which again is going to boost the economy in Delaware, creating jobs. And I've worked with on the insurance bill with the representatives. You know that there's insurance discrimination going on in our city too. If you live in the city, you pay more than you do if you lived in the suburbs.
Okay, so just less than a minute remaining. People want to join your campaign, they want to make a donation, how can one get in contact with you?
You can get on our website at, I think it's on the board, Jackson for Delaware State Rep.com, or they can call me, clinwoodj at AOL.com is my email. My number is 654-4242. area code 302-654-4242, and we take donations and any kind of help that we can give. I also want to shout out to your guests earlier, that Dr. Ali and his vice president, that we were together last time I met them at Startup Africa. They gave me an award for my economic development work that we did in the community. So they're doing some great work there as well, and I want to shout them out, and please join them if you can as well.
All right. And well, Jackson.
Omar, it's a
man,
pleasure, man.
Always.
Man, that was too much fun.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Community Issues. I'll be back in 2 weeks. God bless. Happy Easter.